Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. You can stop the presses, you can stop the hunt. I have found the dumbest electronic device ever built. This is the story of the HP amp. All I have to do is mention the word printers, and all of you already have a comment in mind. Some nightmare you've had with printers, some nightmare you've had with ink, some nightmare you've had with HP, or really any of the manufacturers, Canon, Epson, it doesn't matter what you're thinking of. You probably have a printer story in mind already. Well, HP decided to combine two things that never needed to be combined in the HP amp. And just looking at it, you might have already figured out exactly what those two things are. I don't even want to say it. It's the most ridiculous combination of things you've ever heard of in your life. Not a printer scanner, not a printer copier, not even a fax machine, right? We don't need fax machines too often now, but they still have their uses. This is a printer Bluetooth speaker. And if you think I'm kidding, I promise you I'm not. That's why it's called the HP amp. Before we get into this thing, I do want to give them some credit. They called it the HP amp. Every other HP printer has some ridiculous model name, right? They didn't used to. There was the LaserJet 3 and the LaserJet 5 and all kinds of great printers that were the precursors to what we have today, which would be like the DesignJet 5692 XL or something, right? Nope, this one is the HP amp. It's not the whole model number though. The whole model number is HP amp 100. I don't know why they had to do that. There was never a follow-up to this. They figured out it was stupid and never built anything else like it. In fact, if you go to their website, you can click on the HP amp, go back to its product page. The product page is still hanging out. And then it'll say, take me to the newer model. And you click on it and it's a printer, scanner, copier. HP decided that this was the only thing you would need, I guess, in your dorm room? I think it was positioned to students or people that only worked from mobile devices. And I gotta give them some credit. It does have cool features like AirPrint, the best feature in printing world to ever exist, right? AirPrint always seems to work. It's alchemy, it's magic. Nobody knows how it's happening in the background, but it just works. You show up, connect to a network, and all of a sudden you're printing. No printer drivers needed, no special setup needed. It just works. This has AirPrint, and honestly, every time it's there, for the most part, it works for me. Well, they figured if you have a completely mobile workflow, you might as well just have your music on your printer too. So the whole top of this thing is a giant Bluetooth speaker. Not only that, it's got a microphone in it so you can take calls on your printer. I'm going to take you through the spec sheet on this printer real quick, but I got to be honest with you guys. I think consumers smelled out that this was probably the dumbest product of all time, combining a Bluetooth speaker and a printer, and nobody bought them. There are 21 reviews on Google for this printer and one review on HP's website. I think that's pretty clear that they didn't sell any of these. They're pretty hard to find. There were like 3 on eBay. I bought this one at a garage sale for $10. I think I overpaid. So let's jump over to the spec sheet real quick and talk about HP's vision for this printer. Easily print and play music directly from your smartphone to a printer featuring built-in Bluetooth speakers. Control your printer using the HP Smart app and easily take phone calls at the printer. Again, I got my phone in my hand. Easily monitor and order ink directly from the app. Easily print photos from social media. Okay, we get it. It's got AirPrint. And then they just keep pushing that you can easily take phone calls directly from the control panel. There's a phone button there. Keep your phone charged directly at the printer using the built-in device charging port. True, device charging port right here. And photos and documents as low as $2.99 a month if you want to hang out on the HP subscription. So here in the spec sheet itself, HP says this thing is laser comparable, hilarious, up to 7.8 pages per minute, up to 5.5 pages per minute in color. First page out as fast as 15 seconds, and first page out in color as fast as 18 seconds. Resolution 1200 by 1200 DPI in black and 4800 by 1200 in color. A monthly duty cycle of 1,000 pages and a recommended monthly page volume of 50 to 200. There's a big difference between 50 to 200 and 1,000, that's for sure. But other than that, it's got one black cartridge, one tricolor cartridge, and it takes a 65 black and a 65 XL or a 65 color. So the cartridges are 65s. And it has ePrint, AirPrint, wireless direct printing, Wi-Fi direct, and HP Smart app. USB 2, and it's compatible with a whole lot of operating systems, all the way up to Windows 10, from Windows 7 up to Windows 10. Wow, 64 megabytes of DDR in this thing. And it says it supports TCP/IP, obviously only over Wi-Fi. There is no Ethernet port. Manual duplex. It's not duplex printing if you have to turn the page over yourself. And you can put up to 5 envelopes in it. That was a lot of words to say it's a pretty standard, cheap inkjet printer with a Bluetooth speaker. I assume double stick tape to the top, but let's actually look at it real quick. So here on top, we have the device charging port. It's USB-A. We've got a power button right there. Underneath this glossy section, there is an LCD display with an X button, a Wi-Fi button, an error or an info button, and a down button. Those are all touch, probably capacitive buttons there. On the front, we have phone minus volume for volume down, play pause plus volume, volume up, and Bluetooth to pair and maybe turn on the Bluetooth speaker. I don't know. It's probably on all the time, but it's got a Bluetooth button there. On the back, we have 110 to 240 volts in, and we've got USB-A, and that's pretty much it. If we open it up, I'll show you what it looks like when you're ready to print. You just kind of do that, and open up the front panel, and you're ready to drop some paper in and start printing. There's really not much to this little guy. Now, unfortunately, I just bought this thing. It still has the plastic on it and everything, and it won't turn on. I know a lot of you probably had something to say about printers as soon as I pulled this thing out, and this one is no different. It's crazy that it looks like it's never been used and it's dead. So we're gonna plug it in, maybe. There we go. I wonder if it's just a contact issue. What if I push a little harder? Not a thing. The power button has never lit up on this. I bought it working from the garage sale and it doesn't work. So we've tried pushing the power button, we've tried holding the power button, we have tried everything there is. Holding it while plugging it in, holding it for a minute, holding it for 10 seconds like HP says to. It doesn't work. So you guys know what that means. It's time to take it apart because I would like to power it with an external power supply. I'm just assuming the power supply is dead and see if we can make the Bluetooth speaker work. If we can get that far, I'd be pretty happy. Also, this thing's not going back together. I just have a feeling the way printers are built, once they come apart, they don't usually go back together. Normally I'd feel bad about tearing this apart with no plans to put it back together, but honestly, I just don't think we're gonna get it back together, and even if we do, it's probably got a bad power supply, and it's not worth the troubleshooting. So, there's a couple screws right there that we don't have the right size Torx driver for. We're in business. We got a T10 that looks like it's the only thing you're gonna need to take this thing apart. And I'm hoping the top comes off pretty easily, and maybe, just maybe, we can get a power supply hooked up to this thing that works and make some noise. Kind of looking like I just got all the screws out of the top, but I'm not sure. It looks like I need to pull the catch tray off first, and that's gonna expose some new screws. Black on top, silver on the bottom. There we go, more screws as we expected. That's part of the tray mechanism there. This looks like another tray mechanism. A lot of screws in this thing, that's for sure. As I suspected. Ah! Good news, everyone! Literally a standard wall power supply hiding out in this thing. We might be able to save it. So all we need now is a meter to do a little bit of checking and see if there's power coming out of this power supply. If this is dead, I'll be incredibly happy. I'm also mind blown that this exists inside this printer. So this outputs 22 volts and 10 volts. And luckily, weird, there's a sleep pin, which might just mean it's a dead pin. Let's take a look at the pin out here. Hopefully you guys can see the power adapter. But you can see that pin, let's just go like this. Now we can see what's going on. This pin shows it's sleep, which cannot be true. And then it shows plus 22 and plus 10 on the empty pin. This is clearly not true here. Doesn't make any sense. I'm guessing that it's just ground is the blue one. The output might be 22 volts AC, which would be really interesting. It says 22/10. It doesn't say AC or DC, it just calls this whole thing an AC power adapter. So it looks like it might have 22 or 10 volts AC on the white wire, and then the blue wire is either AC neutral or DC negative. So let's go see what I can dig up. Maybe we can turn this thing on. We're gonna run through all the troubleshooting real quick. So we've got the Harbor Freight meter, right? I think Syntec was Harbor Freight. We got that guy sitting here. And first we're gonna double check, make sure we have AC voltage, which of course, there we go, 120, good, good. And now let's take this thing down to DC volts 200. We'll put it on 20, just in case it's outputting 10. And now, usually you can hear these power supplies. Oh, there's a green light. It's got a green light on it. I wish I could have seen that inside the printer. All right, so now I'm really thinking the power supply is good and the printer's dead. Oh, 12 volts, 19 volts, 14 volts. Do you guys think it's AC because it's jumping around so much? It's acting like it's got a dead short in it. When I plugged it in, the supply turned off. There, it's green. Okay, so power supply on, connecting. As soon as I plug it in, it shuts down. Did it ever work? Was it dead out of the box? Did somebody buy this, open it, and not return it? Or is this power supply just weak? Because that's also an option. All right, I think we know that it does take DC, so that's good news. Here's our weapon, our fully variable output power supply, and we're gonna go ahead and shove some wires into it real quick and see if we can get a little bit of output here. Here we go, this is where things get really sketchy. We are outputting 18 volts right in the middle of what this printer says it needs. Same thing. Look at that, power supply is outputting 17.3 volts. You can see it right there. When I connect it, it pulls the power supply down and kills it until it overloads. This printer is toast. And how? How is it so toast? Well, HP's power supply didn't die. I was sure we were just running into another one of those old power supply problems that you run into on all of these old electronics where caps have died or they're continually rebooting, switching power supplies. Just the normal problems that you run into. But instead, we have a completely dead board somehow. There must be a dead short somewhere in here. After a bit of troubleshooting, we are using the HP power supply hooked directly back up to the printer. We'll plug it in. You can see the green light is turned on right now, and things should be working, right? Nothing is working, but things should be working. You would expect that one of those is the power to the Bluetooth speaker, and unfortunately, it looks like that never turns on. I'm gonna hold it for quite a while now, but I think we have powered up the speaker. Nothing's happened. The power button doesn't light up, doesn't work. But we can trip the power supply out by reconnecting this ribbon cable right here that clearly goes to the actual printing section. So I'll touch it and there it goes. Power supply is kicked out. So whatever's wrong is past this ribbon cable and everything else actually works great. What we're going to try to do now is hook power directly up to the speaker and see if we can make that work. I bet this doesn't work though. It's a great hope that this is just a really, really dumb Chinese Bluetooth speaker stuck on a printer, but there's also just as good of a chance that this has full two-way data. This shows the playing track on the LCD, shows the connected phone on the LCD, what the play pause status is. So for all of my hope that I have that I can just make this thing turn on and start working, I have just as much doubt that it's ever gonna turn on again. I think it could be fully dead. I'm at 12.3 volts. All we need is the Bluetooth light to fly. Oh! I almost think that's the paper feed solenoid to grab the next sheet of paper right there. So that took 12 volts. What's this take? This is gonna be the LED and it's gonna explode. I bet it's the power LED. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn down to 3 volts and see if we can get that power LED to come on. turn the power up. 11 volts. Well, we did something, tell you that much. We've gone this far. It's time to tear this thing all the way apart and see if we can figure out what powers the Bluetooth speaker itself, because unfortunately, we're not making any progress over here. They didn't label any of these connectors. Everything's labeled just like J13, C9. None of these say like paper advance or anything that would be human readable without a wiring diagram. So I think the only answer here is just keep tearing things apart until we figure out how that Bluetooth is powered. Time to rip. This looks like, can't tell how that works. Hey, that comes off like that. We got some screws right here. Ooh, one more screw right here. A lot of ribbons in this thing, honestly. A whole lot of ribbons. Unhook them all real quick. Ferrites on all this, which is kind of cool. Ah, all the LEDs were hiding right there. Okay. All right. At least the ferrites pop off. And another ribbon right there. And I think we've got her. Ah, this ground or Wi-Fi antenna. That's got to come off. Well, the printer has been destroyed at this point. Once I got the circuit board out, the PCB that runs all the magic right here, which is honestly very impressive. Take a look at that, guys. This is a wireless board here that's handling all the wireless magic. I don't know what that logo is, if it's Qualcomm or something, but it could, even the wireless could be custom in this thing. Even the antennas are printed circuit board. Antenna main, antenna 1, antenna aux, and antenna 0 is so impressive because it's probably Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on one board. HP's designers must just be killing it, but also for no reason, right? They're just in service of nothing. They're doing the greatest work there is. So it's crazy what they've shoved on this board. On the back here, we have the paper sensing PCB. You can see the IR LED, emitter and receiver, so they can sense paper size, all that good stuff. You can figure all that out by if there's paper in and how many of the LEDs get made when it shines some IR at the paper. And then it turns out, to get the top off, it's just sitting on there, and you just give it a good yank after you pull out those two screws. There, it actually went back together. It's stuck. All you do is, there it goes. And then it comes apart, and now we have the Bluetooth speaker off of the printer here. So, the printer itself is now worthless to me. I'm sure none of us were too concerned about a basic HP printer, which is all this is. The cartridges came out and they were original, so I don't think they killed it. They are HP 65 tricolor and black. So you can see that we do have, these are the originals too, the setup cartridges. So it didn't even make it through its original cartridges before it died. Oh yeah, they're both the setup cartridges. So here we have the lid of the printer that's not meant to open, but is also the Bluetooth speaker and all the controls for the printer. And on the back we have the USB, which is pretty cool. This is a little board that just gives you 5 volts for the USB, and there's also a little LED inside there to show if the USB is charging, it looks like. A little light pipe runs up to this dot, so you can see if the USB is being used. Let's go ahead and unplug that to try to simplify our lives. And then let's get the Bluetooth speaker off of the plastic and see if we can figure out what does what. So this has its own serial number, which is pretty cool. It also says LHASA boom. So I wonder if HP named this boom internally. Yeah, I got the boom printer. And then somebody in marketing was like, call it amp. I think once we get to here, we might be able to see where we could apply a little power and make this thing light up. Or just keep tripping our power supplies out.
Yeah,
oh,
American music printer.
Probably was, dude. All right, here we go. Bluetooth removal. Oh, there's a huge daughter board in here. A huge daughter board. You guys aren't even gonna believe this. All right, that came out. Here's, wow, I bet this thing pounds. I would not doubt. I'm impressed. Look at that. We've got like some 1.5-inch drivers and a subwoofer. No, not a subwoofer. This must be a passive radiator because the only things with power going, you know, speaker wires, that speaker and that speaker, which means this must be an enclosure with a passive radiator in the middle. This is the old Philips Wooks right here. Wait, yep. If you push on it, you can see the speakers go the other direction, so it's very clearly, yep, a sealed enclosure. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but you'll see the passive driver bump up, and then you'll see the other drivers bump up. All right, so we made it that far. What's blown up on here? I really didn't want to make 2 videos in a row of us having to take old electronics apart, but this is still, I mean, it's like the most hilarious, most interesting thing that I possibly could have found. It doesn't make any sense, and it's unbelievable that it doesn't work. It's such a simple electronic device. I'm a little mind blown that it's not just working. Ooh. This is looking like water damage to me. What's that look like to you guys? Look at that. The whole bottom of the board here is covered in some stuff. And when I see stuff on a board, especially corrosion looking stuff, it really makes me think it's water damage. So, no blown cap. Don't know what's under here, but it's interesting. We've got power. Look at that. It lit up. Power supply still on. And we do have the BTC output on the board here, so Bluetooth control. So, well, printer doesn't need to be on for the Bluetooth. Good job, HP. I'll give you some credit there. Hopefully, just be able to find this thing. HP amp pops right up in the Bluetooth list there. Cool. All right.
Device connected.
It talks. This is the moment of truth. Why did it play for 1 second and stop? There we go. We got music again. Here we go. Look at that. Hopefully you can see the speakers moving. You can instantly tell it's the same as all those other Chinese Bluetooth speakers. It makes the same sounds, that doo-doo, doo-doo, when it's all the way up, and I'm sure it also does that when it's all the way down. And play pause works. Phone volume. We got an HP amp. That is the printer nobody asked for, and I hope you don't end up with one of these because you might end up with the same problem that nobody asked for. At least after working on this for a while, it seems like it could have been water damage. And honestly, we could dig just a little bit more. It looks like if we take out 2 more screws, some tiny T3s here. Let's see, somewhere I've got a straight bit that we're hacking to be a T3. It kind of looks like if we remove this guy right here, we might be able to see what happened. So I think that'll get it out of there. Oh, wow. That's not exactly what I wanted, but I'll take it. There's a little plastic catch right here. It looks like that. We'll pop the board out. And this one went over to the USB. And now we can see our LCD here. Maybe a hair of corrosion right there on that screen. Just a hair. I'm not really seeing any problems. This is bonded together though. This whole piece is bonded to the plastic. Very flexible. which is cool. It actually feels very cool. I don't see enough damage on here. And I don't think we can take it apart. I think this whole thing is one piece. And I'm sure this never got serviced and never will get serviced. We're not even gonna keep messing with it. I bet they don't sell this as a part. It's really not that old, copyright 2017. It's only 7-ish years old at this point, but it's very dead. Oh, we're getting a call. What's up?
What's up, dude?
I don't even know where the microphone is, but I can't hear you either. Maybe you have to talk loudly. Okay, I turned you all the way up.
Hey man, you got a printer tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't have a printer for you. I just have pieces of a printer. You could probably assemble it yourself.
Oh, okay. How much?
Free. Today only. Perfect. Good luck. And the only thing left to do with this Bluetooth printer speaker is maybe tape it all back together with 12 volts worth of batteries, and you'd have a cool little portable speaker. That way you could get rid of all the rest of this junk, hopefully. Anyway, that is all I have for you today. Click on one of these videos right here. YouTube thinks you'd like to watch that next. And thank you for watching Tech Throwback.